element of OBE, POs, competency and performance indicators for program outcomes. So, sir, most welcome in this program.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, I request Soumya ma'am to please read a brief biography of sir. Soumya ma'am, you are there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Dr. Suhas Deshmukh, sir.
Yes, good
Very
morning.
good morning to you and welcome to the examination reform. Okay, sir. So about you, some points from me. Uh, he's a associate professor, mechanical engineering, Government College of Engineering, Karad. Dr. Suhas did his PhD from IIT Bombay, ME in Mechanical Design Engineering, Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, and BE from Dr. JJMCOE, Jaisinghpur, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Dr. Suhas has many honors and awards to his credit, and some of them are Young Scientist Award in 2012, Best Research Project on Design and Development of 3D Microfabrication System, awarded by Vaigyaniki Radiance IIT Bombay in 2008. In 2007, he received International Award at Bangalore Nano Conference, and in the same year, he was appreciated by AICTE for development of laser scanner for 3D microfabrication. He has published 20 patents and more than 100 papers in international and national journals and conferences. Presently, he is guiding 6 PhD students and received various research grants from different funding agencies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Yeah. Uh, so, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice is coming, sir.
Yeah. So, what I will do, I will just share my PPT and then we'll start. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, Microsoft is sometimes creates
Okay.
some.
I will let you know, sir. It
Yeah.
is nearby audio button. There is one up
Yeah,
arrow
yeah, it is
indication.
there. But when I'm going to join, I know this actually. But
Okay,
this,
okay, sir.
so I have some problem with my PC itself to
Okay, okay,
share the
sure, sir.
screen and something. और वो
Okay.
बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि
Yeah,
माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम के लिए
actually, Google
टीपीटी
Meet
देता
is
है वो.
Google Meet is somewhat simpler than Microsoft
Yeah,
Teams,
yeah,
sir.
it's good one. Okay. So can you
Okay.
see my screen?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Because actually what
Yeah,
I
fine.
feel is, should I start my scene, my presentation?
Yeah, sure, sir. You can start, sir.
Yeah. So you have gone through series of lectures on outcome-based education, which is a typical kind of a philosophy. We are going to look at that how to evaluate these things. See, actually, what is going to happen when we are going to do any kind of a work, we want some output parameter to be evaluated. And here, OB philosophy help us to have a certain parameter where it will help us to evaluate our teaching learning process. And that is what a fundamental theme line, and that was catched up by AICTE, then NBA team, and they are going to implement that so that whatever the output coming after the teaching learning, they want to evaluate and they want to grade for that. So previously, but so you can just have a look on these two education policies, which is we till the date we have implemented. One is this is our traditional education policy. This traditional means so it was worked before you OBE, means it's in a simple. We are going into the class, we are teaching it, we are taking their exams, getting the output, and everything was there. So when I was doing my graduation, that time we had only semester exams. We have to work for an entire semester, and you will be evaluated at the end of the semester only. So that's the process, because we are not putting any kind of feedback. Once that exam is over, results will out, and then based on that, okay, I got 70%, 80%, what are the things we are going to do it. So in doing this, it is observed that what are the technological changes or teaching learning process changes are huge. Okay, so whenever we are going through uh, teaching learning, you can observe that what are the technological changes. Like if I want to buy a mobile, before 1 year there are certain features, and this year I will get some more features. So that much a big change, and very short, within a very short time we are going to do it. So are we really putting all these stuff to teach or to provide in a background to the students, so that they can cope up what are the things are going to happen after their graduation? And that is what in a philosophy, and that is what, why cannot we put up on a kind of a feedback? So whenever some of the people from this entire session maybe of control systems, they know if I want to control perfectly, I need a kind of feedbacks. And this is what on a feedback loop. Okay, this is what on a feedback loop we want to create. So what? So I'm going to decide certain parameters. Decide certain parameter means I'll say ki, yes, my student will know how to design a mechanical system. My student will know how to simulate that mechanical system. And third, my student will also have a capability to look in terms of an interdisciplinary kind of an approach or something. So these are the parameters we are going to decide. This is desired output I wanted. So 1, 2, 3, such type. I have such 12 such parameter I will decide. So this is my expectations. And I will put up in some output parameter. Means here in, if I want to control on a mechanical system, that is on a position. So I'll put up in some displacement sensor. So here also I'll put up in a certain kind of a sensing mechanism. So which will evaluate that student, or which will tell the student, tell about what that particular student had understood. And based on that, we can put into the loop. So in feedback loop, what it happens, we take in a desired number, I know it, that student has to achieve this 3 number or something, but he has achieved something 2 or something. So how can I reduce that gap? So for that purpose, I can have a comparison, and I can have a process. Within this process, there is a kind of we normally say it is an IQAC sale or something. So this IQAC sale will help us to control this teaching learning process, and that is what philosophy come with this outcome based philosophy, and that is what we want to know at how this quality assurance or quality improvement, or how I can provide a more insight or more fundamental understanding about this mm, particular technology or particular domain of the work, domain or kind of things. So this is what adopted currently, and that's what it is called as we are going to trace this outcome. This outcome we are going to trace, and that's the reason it is called as an outcome based philosophy or outcome based education or kind of things. So if you look into this entire OBE philosophy, okay, so what are the typically hierarchy? How I am going to do that? So fundamental, it start with a kind of I may be repeating some of the part which maybe you have gone through in the previous sessions, but I have to just give some theme line. That's the reason I'm going to put all this. So here we are going to first of all deciding the vision of my entire institute or entire faculty. Vision of the institute in the sense, so institute is some objective whenever we are going to start in a kind of an institute, any kind of an institute. In that, what it happens, I want to give a perfect technological background to the student. That may be one of the objective, or maybe kind of in a such vision and my mission. I will decide it. Once I decide it, and that particular institute is not running in a single course. That institute may be running multiple courses, like a mechanical engineering is there, computer is there, and nowadays we have SIM, AI, and so many other courses. So these are called as programs. Okay, and these, to the specific, I will say these programs have a certain objective. So what kind of knowledge you want to impart to the students, that's what it is called. That is what that typical word is called as a program educational objectives. So previously, before maybe in a 10 to 15 years back, we are having this POs to be also mapped, but meanwhile that is what it is getting too much difficult, and that is they have eliminated part, and we have only put it within a COPO mapping or something. We'll discuss that COPO mapping. Then we decide in a typical program, we concentrate on only one branch. That is what its program outcomes, we can say. Program educational objectives means that vision will decide certain objective of the entire institute, and those objectives are called as a program educational objectives. And then I will put up in a program outcomes. Okay, and then program, these POs are already defined, and these are the 12 in numbers, and you can just go through the NBA booklet. You will, I'm going to put that whole stuff into my session itself. Okay, then I'm going to teach in multiple subjects from first year to final year. I may be going for multiple courses, maybe up to maybe 40 to 45 subjects, and these subjects are courses, we can say, having a certain objectives or outcomes. There will be two things. One is objective, means which is not, means which is expectations. Outcome means how much we have achieved, and that is what in the learning outcomes I'm going to decide for that particular subjects. And then I'm going to play on two things. What will be the good? I will decide what that institute. Our institute will have two outcomes. One is short-term outcomes, and another is long-term outcomes. And these short-term outcomes means program. These two will come into this. I'm going to decide, and this is for one particular semester, and I'm going to have a certain branch or something. That is what. Long term means my institute, how it will grow. Maybe a 5 years plan or maybe 10 years plan. How they are going to implement these POs, and how I am going to achieve this educational objective, and that is what in the long term objectives, outcomes. Okay. So when we are going to have a process, I want to now define the process. So similar kind of a process, I can say it is in a mechanical process or electrical process. So I want to control it. So what I need it, whenever I'm going to design any system, I need some inputs. So what are those input for any educational institute? First, fundamental input is your teaching staff. Okay. So then second input is curriculum, which we are going to teach it. And third one is whether that labs have an appropriate equipments to give a proper knowledge to the students or something. And other sources means we may be going through a kind of other skill sets, like I want to have, and my students should work like they should have a proper leadership quality. Maybe these students, I'm expecting they should know, they should go for better jobs, like military jobs. Maybe some of the students are trying for administrative jobs. Can we have a kind of clubs, or can we have a kind of a platform where these students can explore themselves, where I can suit it? And that is what other sources I can say. So this is typically related to that particular branch or course, I can say. But here, these other sources indicates that is what we have in two types of mapping. One is course mapping, and another is an outcome, that is outside course mapping. We'll discuss that part. Okay. So then we want to have these inputs to be given to the students. So these inputs are foreign students. Okay. These this input, how I am going to import. Okay, what I want to give, that is what it is input, I can say. And how I am going to do it, and that is nothing but my process. I'm going into the class, teaching the subject, taking some exam, and that is what I am going to do. That is what a teaching process. Along with that, I can have a kind of stuff like, yes, I will put up an only problem statement in my class. Okay. And that problem statement, I will tell the students, hey, just go anywhere, collect your information, go on the net, search the book, and solve it within maybe in a 20 minutes of time. So that is also one of the way I'm going to give in a teaching learning. Also, I can give a kind of an objective to the group objective or individual objective, and I will say okay, I can have a hackathon kind of a process. Okay, projects. So hackathon, I will provide a typical problem statement that let the students work for maybe 30-40 hours period, and they will work on it, and they will come up with some solution. And that is also one of the teaching process. In teaching process, it is not expected that all the time faculty should be involved. Faculty can only monitor, because nowadays the students can get what are the knowledge they wanted through YouTube or any online sources. So it was not there the case in previously. When if you look into the teaching learning process in maybe 15 years back, nowadays it is vastly changing. And our teacher's objective is not only to give the impart the knowledge about technical stuffs, but our role is now to provide a platform, one thing, another provide an appropriate guidance, and third is provide a proper monitoring whether they are going to do it properly or keenly or not. That is what in process, and that involves not only going into the class and teaching, but also it involves some assessment. Also, it involves monitoring. You may be going to do some project with the students. That whole stuff comes under the process. After that, yes, students may go for some assessments. Assessments means these assessments that may be in some assessment. Yes, I will give an objective for 4 students. Out of that, one student is presentation is good, another student has an kind of good leadership. That kind of an assessment, and I will grade those assessment. Okay, I may be grading this within that is 100% mark or 100 marks, 50 marks or something. This is one way. Another way I can have a grading like an qualitative grading, that is not only quantitative. I am going to have a qualitative grading also. I can do it. Once I do this, then I will, once I grade, it is expected he has to achieve certain number. Maybe I will say it is 100 he has to achieve. That is my objective. But he achieved in a somewhere 60. Okay. So I need to just fill this gap. How I'm going to do that 40. And that is what I'm going to put up on a one feedback here. And I'm going to have some modification in my teaching learning process, and that is what it is going to happen over the entire semester. And when I'm going to monitor it and I want to change it, I can have some makeup classes and so many things. I can do it, and I can improve that. 60 will increase maybe 80, maybe 90, or kind of things. So this is what an individual course something. Then when comes for an entire program, entire branch, then I will look at the program educational objective. So how I'm going to define this program educational objective? I may be collecting not the information from the only faculties. I'm involving each and every stakeholders. So these stakeholders may be my uh, faculties. That is one most important thing. Second, I may be calling some industry persons, industrial advisory board. So maybe I'm going to call and kind of an employers, also maybe getting an input or feedback from public, parents, students, alumni, all the people. And these are the program outcomes I'm defining, and then I'm going to put this into the particular loop, and that is what it is the OBE philosophy. When we want to do this, how it is going to do it? Continuous quality improvement. I can have this term, I can put it CQI or something. Okay. So what you want, this is nothing but into the all the time into the loop. That's what. Say what do you want, then do you do what you say, means practically you're going to implement, and then you need to prove it, and then improve it if it is not satisfied up to the mark. And that is what it is, continuous improvement. And that's the call it that is outcome based education for us. Okay, so these are the layers through which it will work. Okay, so here you can have on a typical course. Okay, this is my course, that is learning outcome and objectives I will set for a particular course. I will implement that, I will put in this assessment, I will do the analysis, and this is my one loop. This is one single loop. So similarly, I may have in a certain of courses like in a branches, I can say. These branches may be in a mechanical, electrical, or any kind of branches. So I will have in a such maybe in a 40 subjects. Out of the 40 subjects, all these 40 subjects have gone through by my students, and I'm going to now put the assessment. And this is another one more loop I have it, and that is one second CQI, means continuous assessment. I will do it. Okay. Then third is program objectives I'm going to have, and I'm going to have outcomes. Like here, I'm going to concentrate only on the courses. Along with that, I may be having in a kind of stuff like I have in some clubs. Maybe students are participating in Robo Club. Maybe they are participating in some other activities, Baha, Supra. That is also one of the things. Maybe students are involved in NSS activities. These also to be taken into account, and this is what an object is. That is a program objectives. So this will be in a multiple layers, and then this is my third outer layer where I'm going to put into the loop. I'm going to evaluate it. Okay. So when I'm going to implement it, how I'm going to do it in practically, and that is what starts with Bloom's levels. Bloom's levels means if I'm going to teach students, I may decide how that knowledge I imparted in the students, where he has achieved. Means this is nothing but in a different layers. Whether he only remembered the things I taught it, whether he understood the things which understood means say maybe I'm going to put up on questions like so have you seen this type of things, means similar questions, and then he will say okay, this is the way I can look at what are the knowledge imparted to the faculty, and that is what an understanding. Then we can have some higher level of things that he should able to apply what are the knowledge, like in a simply Newton's law I taught them, I gave some examples, and then I told okay, now you design in a system, okay, which is free falling system, okay, gravity fall. So that students are bringing what are the knowledge we have grabbed from during the lecture, and they are going to apply in some other stuff. That is what it is, application kind of. And then after the application, then they will do in a kind of a simulation, they will do in a kind of an analysis, and that is what I can say analyze. Once he achieved, he has done some analysis, those results or whatever the outcome it is getting during this entire course of action, so he will get some information. Maybe he has having some graph which is having a typical trend, and those trend he want to whether it is increasing trend, decreasing trend, or I can have some parameter I'm going to change, and because of that it is changing, and that is what I can do. It is called as analyze, and these are two a very high level of, I can say it is in a high order of Bloom's levels. Means after doing this, I may be creating something. I'm creating an entirely new stuff. I taught in a mechatronics to my students, and then student says, "Okay, sir, I will develop one automated system, that is IoT mechanic, my IoT system which can monitor the water circulation in the entire campus." That is what in a new creation the students are going to do it, and that is what in a different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So these are the levels I want to evaluate it. But we don't have as such a typical exact outcome parameter where I can say, okay, so if the student done this much work, I will give a 2 marks. If they done this much, I will give a something 5 marks or something. So this is not possible through only knowing the only Bloom's taxonomy layer. Then next I will do it one thing. I will I will have some competency labels. Means like I will decide a program outcomes. That is what we call as POs. Okay, and these POs are further connected with competency labels. Okay, and these competency labels means program outcome means I will say so. I want to give an a PO number one that involves a basic knowledge of the sciences. And yes, this is my objective or outcome I'm expecting. I will convert that outcome into what that student should have. These are called as a competency or skills, I can say. And these skills, how much they have achieved, and that is what it is called as a performance indicator. Okay, and these performance indicator I will leave it connected to my what are the course outcomes, and that is what a course outcome will come. And once I decide this course outcome, then I will now connect these POs. Okay, and this is my COs. This is my CO with the layer or bridge of competencies and PIs. And that is what I'm going to take an help of these two things to connect these program outcomes and course outcome. Courses are typically in a small one semester subject, but in program outcome is in a 4-year entire work. And I want to connect these two. And this is what in a connection will be done through competency levels and performance indicators. And that is what where I can look at how much I'm going to do it theoretically. And that's what we call it is in a POCO mapping. Okay, these are the CPOs and horizontal axis and COs in vertical axis. I'll map it. So out of this, you can just look at PO number 2 and CO number 1. How much they are connected. That is maybe in a 2. I'm going to have on a 0 to 3 level. And out of this 0 to 3 level, where it is 2 here. Here it is in a 1. So similarly here it is in a 3 because they may be this PO 11 is more involved, and that is what it is called as. I'm putting this whole stuff into the matrix. We'll see how we can come up with such matrices. Okay, then I'm going to now, I created this matrix. I want to connect this. Ultimately I want to evaluate these POs. Okay, I want to know exact number, how much amount of POs is achieved in the scale of 0 to 3. Okay, we can have an evaluation 0 to 100 also, but it is globally accepted that why cannot we go for 0 to 3 scale. That's the reason we are using 0 to 3 scale. And then I will put up the entire list of the students. I'll map this course outcome and this, and then I will go on evaluating these POs and COs and finally program courses. And I'm going to implement this through a course implementation. And I'm going to have multiple assessments. Okay, multiple assessments. Maybe I'm going to have a CT1 exam, CT2 exam, end semester exam. I have practicals into that particular course. Maybe a teaching assessment and a teaching assignment, and I'm going to give a weightage for this. So this weightage I can give depend on how I'm going to progress my syllabus, and that is what it is course assessment we can say. Once I done this course out assessment, now we can take in help of this matrix. This is my matrix. Okay. And ultimately I want this PO to be evaluated. Okay, I'll now determine COs for each course, how much COs has achieved. Okay, once I done the COs, okay, COs assessment, then I know that this COs and POs are connected through this competency performance indicator, and that is what I can go on determining what my POs are. Okay, and ultimately I'm going to determine program outcome. So this is what the flow of the knowledge we are going to do it. And this is what we are going to determine from a single course. And similar fashion, I may have on a such 40 subjects from per semester, or for entire 4 years. I will not say it is in per semester. Entire 4 years, they have to go through it. And based on that, I can now go on determining POs, also COs, and kind of things. And that is the way we want to implement this OBE philosophy. So we'll now look at two terms. Okay. So learning to think and thinking to learn. These are the two things which is, so this is a previous philosophy of teaching learning process. And this is the current philosophy.
Excuse me, sir.
But yeah.
Yeah, sir. Previous is very interesting. Can you repeat just once again? Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay. So this is what. एक मिनट के लिए मैं जरा सा पानी पीता हूँ and then we'll
Sure,
continue.
sure, sir.
So if you look into this particular flow of the information, how it is there. So initially we start with Bloom's levels. Okay, we have 6 Bloom's levels. Previously we have only 4 or 5 such Bloom's levels. So then we have next is POs, which is defined by an accreditation team, that is MBA accreditation. We have such 12 POs, and these 12 POs, how can I do it? Because these PO statement cannot help me to evaluate each and every student. Okay, I want to determine evaluation typical indicator. How can I evaluate it? So for these POs, I will now identify if I want to achieve PO number 1, what the skill sets I need into my students. Okay, and that is what it is. I will identify it, and these skill sets are nothing but in a competency level, I can say. These are called as competency levels, and these skill sets, even I, so if I say that my student should know about advanced technology, this is my PO. Advanced technology means I will now say, okay, the students are now know the CNC machine. Okay, so they can operate the CNC machine. Means what is the level of operation I can do? So whether they can do a programming, whether they can only monitor the process, that is what it is done to the PIs. That is a performance indicators. So then this performance indicator may be giving 1, 2, 3 levels, 2, 3 parameters, and these are going to convert your POs into kind of numbers, and that is what it is called as PIs. And these PIs are further connected to individual courses. Okay, and further connected to individual courses means COs, course outcome I am identifying, and I want to connect this course outcome to my POs, and that is what we called as a COPO mapping. So this is my CO and this is my PO. I want to connect this, so I will now connect through competencies. Okay, competencies, and then I'm going to convert those competencies into the performance indicators. Okay, and this will convert on a kind of a matrix. We call it as a COPO matrix. And along with that POs, these are the 12 in numbers. But most of the time, what it happens, if I'm going to have an POs for mechanical engineering, I may not be covering interdisciplinary nature of it. I may not be giving them more knowledge about 3D printing or something. So this can be added through some additional skill sets you want to impart to the students. That is what it is called as a PSOs. We'll discuss that part in more detail in later stage. Okay. So once I got this PO, PSO, and CO mapping, then I will now go for different courses. I will do it for multiple courses. May have 40 such courses in my branch, and I will put all these matrices and for each and every course. Once I done it, the next task is to implement it. Okay, this is This is done at the administrative level. It is not anyway related to the students up to this point. But after this, I'm going to impart into the classes. I have a course implementation. I may have lectures. I'll schedule the lectures. I'll give the lectures, maybe 40 lectures per semester. I may be having a class test and so many things. Okay, I'll impart it. That is what an input I'm going to give it. And once I've done that input, I'm going to evaluate it. I may be evaluating only at the semester. I may be evaluating 2-3 times in the semester. I may be going through a kind of evaluation surprise stage, some assignment. These are the evaluation modes. Okay, I will give a certain weightage to each evaluation mode. Okay, I may be giving a weightage to 60% of weightage to the NSEM exam, 10% for an TA, and CT1 15%, CT2 51, 50%, 15% and kind of things. So this is what I'm going to assess. Means I'm going to now evaluate here. I'm getting some numbers here. Okay, this will help me to determine some numbers. What are those numbers? Ultimately, it is going to evaluate your competencies and your indicators. So this you are going to connect it. Okay, once I done it, 4 COs or something, how much I achieved it, how much these objectives I achieved. And that is what first objective achieved, maybe out of 3, maybe 2.5 something, second objective 2.5 something, like this. Okay, once I done it, then I will go on doing for all the courses, not in a single course, maybe as such 40 courses. And then ultimately I'm going to connect this part with my POs, and this is nothing but in a typical feedback loop. I'm going to do it, and that is what in a program outcome evaluation. So is that clear now?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Nice. Right. Thank you.
Okay. So previously, what is happening? So there are two things we can see it. One is learning to think and thinking to learn. Only we have flipped the words learning to think and thinking to learn. So that is what the flipping we have done. But ultimately, what flipping we have done previously, synthesis or anything we are going to analyze or multiple solutions we are going to identify. So that is given last priority, and evaluation is given some change. You can just look at this much, only small change is done to having a new kind of an education implementation, and that is what I'm evaluating and creating. These two are flipped. So when we are going to look at this, what will be the administrative structure? So there will be a course coordinator, that is nothing but a basic first element who is going to talk to the students. Okay, he is going to connect with the students. He is the person who continuously teach in the class, assess them and everything. And this course coordinator is handling only one courses. Then module coordinator may be handling some 5 such courses. This module coordinator will giving some input to the program coordinator. I have such 40 courses or something. Okay, this 40 subjects are put in front of an assessment committee. And what that assessment committee does, so this, yeah, I taught the students with the basic knowledge. I taught them some advanced techniques also, but somewhere the students are missing some interdisciplinary nature. That kind of suggestions will come through the assessment team. Okay, and then this assessment team will give the input to the advisory board. What that advisory board does, they will have 1 or 2 meeting in the year. Okay, and this advisory board will look at, is there anything which we are going to miss it, which that skill should be there with the students, but we are not going to impart it. That kind of an advisory comments they can put it, and they can start implementing it. Yes, next time onward you go on Python programming also in mechanical engineering. That kind of suggestions they can give it, and that is what an advisory board they can do. And the whole process is monitored by IQAC. That is what an internal quality assurance. Okay, so we'll now look at this Bloom's taxonomy levels: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And these three are considered to be in a very higher order thinking levels, and rest of these are nothing but a starting level of the Blooms. I can have in a 0 or 1, I will say it is in a 2. This is my 3, 4, 5, and this is my 6. These 4, 5, 6 are nothing but a higher order thinking skills. Okay. So if I look at these, I want convert these Bloom's level into a certain numbers. I want to connect with a course objective. I want to connect with a POs. POs will be connected with a competency levels and performance indicators. So these are the multiple things we are now want to bring it into a single platform. So I can have now, first I look at the Bloom's levels. Okay, these are the nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so this, if I look at this 1, 2, 3, these 4 levels, I can assess through a fixed amount of an hours of an examination. Okay, but these two finds it difficult to assess to fixed number of hours. Okay? That is what a thing you can just look at it. So how can I do and convert that now whatever the understood by the student in terms of a number conversion into the number. So here I may have a problem with determining up to 1 to 4. I can evaluate quite easily through a kind of an examination. But if the students, if I give some objective to the students or problem statement to the students, how they are going to do an analysis, how they are going to do a new design, whether they are coming with some out of box thinking or not. So that is what it is done through this 5 and 6 levels, and that is only possible through kind of a course project, maybe a mini project, then minor project, maybe a capstone project like this. So this is already implemented in most of the IITs. If you go into any of the course in IITs, so that faculty will put up you into kind of a course project. They will intentionally tell you have a certain presentation on this. What are the small projects you are going to do in a single semester, and then based on that they will provide an evaluation. So this is somewhere missing in our university curriculum, and that is the basically means obviously these two skill sets we are not going to improve from the students point of view, and that's what it is possible through these different projects. Okay, so if I want to have to check out whether that remembering skill is there or not with the students, what I can do, remember means it is what kind of skills he has to demonstrate: ability to recall the informations. Okay, we normally we learned in childhood tables, maybe in a 2 to 20 table, 30 table or something. Okay, so how much we remember it nowadays? We don't remember those things, but that time we are remembering it. Okay, that is the what way they are our teachers have evaluated us, remembering the information which is taught into the class. Okay, then ability to recall what is the methodology or procedures, principles, and all this. So what is the way I can evaluate? I can put the questions like list how many laws or how many maybe elements are there into first level or kind of things. Or I may have questions like define a Newton's law, I define a D'Alembert's principle. I can go have questions like describe something. So this type of questions will help us to evaluate the skill like remembering skill. So I can state the Ohm's law physically, list the physical and chemical properties of silicon, list this, list that, define this. This will only give you on a first level, and I can say that level as an L1 level. Similarly, I can have an understanding once they come to know. So they have to describe in their own words whether what are the knowledge they have grabbed, whether they understood properly or not, grabs the meaning of that or not. And then it comes up in a second level, and that is what it is possible through the questions like describe, explain, paraphrase, and these are the questions through which you can just go through it. Explain importance of sustainability, explain behavior of P and junction, describe characteristics of something like this. Okay. Then third level, that is a apply, that I can say it is in a EL3 level. Apply means you just what are the knowledge, what are the remembered knowledge, what are the described knowledge, and both the things you want to implement into something. So use this information to apply somewhere, and that is what my third level of Bloom's level. And I can have a calculate. These are the questions: calculate, predict, apply, solve, illustrate, use, demonstrate. These questions like evaluate. Here it is in numericals. Ladder of 5 meter long, rest on the ground, and this, and ultimately you want to you want to tell the students to calculate the coefficient of friction. So that is what in a way you can evaluate L3 level. That is what in applications. Okay. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to connect this, okay, with your course objective, and we want to convert that into the numbers. For that purpose, we want this. And after that, there comes up an analyze. Okay. Yeah, this analysis is, so you may be not handling the problem which is giving into the class, okay, but you are going to identify certain crux into this, or they may be having a multiple complex issues are there, and you are going to break down that issues, want to see a solid like in a big design problems. You want to design in a UOT crane or something, electric overhead traveling crane. You want to design in a kind of a control system for precision positioning. Okay, so that is involves in designing up your entire plant or something, and this is what I am going to have a fourth level, that is L4 level. How can I do it? I can have a classification also. I may have a bunch of the data, I want to categorize it. Okay, categorize or classification. That is also one of the way through which you can analyze it. Okay, you can provide an appropriate outline of the entire work, or you want to represent in terms of a certain picture, a diagram, or info, or kind of things. So this typical questions will help the students to know whether they are able to analyze the stuff which are in front of them. Okay, so that is what the skill we are going to identify. The last one comes to the evaluate. Okay, evaluation, that is a fifth level, that is evaluate. Evaluate means I may have multiple solutions in front of me. I may have two three problems, two three solutions that for a single problem. Which one I have to go for it? I want to discriminate. If I'm going to just take a simple example, I have a bicycle. Can I use that bicycle for belt drives? Yes, it is possible. Theoretically, I can use in a belt drive. I can have a gear drive also, and I can have a chain drive. Out of that, which is best suits for it? Chain drive best suit because it is on a positive drive. So this type of an evaluation we are going to do it. So we are going maybe assessing something. We are going to take in a certain decisions. We are going to choose something out of a multiple list. All this stuff is possible through evaluate skill. Then last one, how can I create? How can I create something new? Maybe on a kind of a mini project, maybe on a kind of a solution kind of things. So what kind of the skills we want into this? Use this old ideas to create something new. So I can tell you one thing: we know the weight measurement. Okay, we know that most of the vehicles are traveling with an overload or something. When they are traveling on the road with an overload, there are possibility that the driver may not have a perfect control on the steering. The reason for this, I can have a CG to be perfectly centered. If it is at exactly center or near the driver, he can have a better control. Then I will put up some sensors at the leaf springs, and I will measure the load. And I will now know what I will do. I will bring all these sensors data in single point, and I can have one single point where I can have where it will tell whether that my systems where that CG lies, and then students will implement that practically, and they will create something new as a product or device, and that is what this card is in a design, formulate, build, use, create something new, and that is what the skills we want to identify, and that is my sixth level of Bloom's level. That is what creative level. So we know now these Bloom's levels. We want to now have an outcome mapping. Okay, so someone's mic is on. Can you just mute your mic? So in this outcome mapping, which will help facilitate what it is facilitating your course level mapping or course level outcomes and your program outcomes. POs, then I may have on a CO courses. I can say it is in courses, maybe 1, 2, 3 or something. And these courses will have on a 4 COs, CO1, CO2 or CO something. And I want to connect this to this, and that is what it will help you to mapping. It is called as a mapping. So this COs, then I'm going to have an assessment, and then I'm going to have convert that into COs. Okay, how much I achieved it. Then I'm connecting to individual POs, and then that is what in a mapping. That is which will help us to visualize this. How much in a nutshell, how much I achieved it, and that is what in a visual mapping of the program. It also used to explore how students are meeting the POs, that is program level outcomes, at the course level. Means I decided that students should know the analysis. Okay, that how much this particular course is achieving this analysis part of it, and that is what a mapping, or I can say it is in a course level mapping, is connected to POs or something. What advantage I can contribute to improve these POs? I have now increased the student achievement, encourage a reflection, re-examination. I can go for a re-examination if some of the students are weak in particular section or something, and I can provide in some other skill sets also. That is what. And outcome assessment is less cumbersome. Yes, it is helping us to make it simple compared to anything complicated. Because so our engineer's job is not to make anything complicated, make it simple. So that is what we want to make it simplified. For levels of mapping, how can I map it? I can have multiple ways of mapping. So course PO and course mapping, this is one thing. Then COPO mapping, and then maybe assessment and CO mapping, and some more are there. Altogether, 3 levels of mapping we are going to do. If you look into the PO and course mapping, so then we have defined a certain graduate attributes. Okay, so what it expects that graduate should achieve these attributes or go through these attributes within the 4 years of the graduation program. This is the first level. Okay, and this compliable within a Bloom's labels. Okay, and this level of mapping lets instructor to set up a threshold value alongside. Means I may be putting that PO should, this PO1 I have on a label that is 0 to 3. Out of that I want to achieve 2.5 for this year. This is what I'm going to first decide it. Now look at the courses. So this is for an overall 40 subjects. I want to know this number. Okay. Then I will go into the course level. In that particular course, PO1, okay, I will define that this PO1 is difficult to achieve into this. I will now have 2.25 I want to achieve it, and that is what I'm COPO mapping. Okay, that is align the program level outcomes, that is POs, and course level outcomes in second level of this is my second level of mapping. So this is one matrix, this is my second matrix, and third. Like this, I'm going to do it. So, and then This is nothing but in a mapping I am going to do it. After the mapping, I'm going to put up this assessment. Okay. Assessments, I means I'm going to have a CT1 exam, 2 exam, maybe assessment. I'm going to do all those and some exam and everything. So what is the way I can have this mapping? Means that I can put some questions in front of a kind of our faculties. What are the ways that how can I assess the outcome? What is the way of the rubric score I achieved it? What was, because most of the time we may not achieve in a perfect number. Okay, if I'm going to evaluate in a maybe any PG project or UG project, what is going to happen when we have some meeting with the faculties? During this meeting, then we normally say with an internal examiner, "Hey, can we give him 70 marks out of 100?" Then internal says, "Oh no, he has also better understanding in this particular domain because he has not demonstrated that." Even though that faculty is going to tell, yes, he has demonstrated in some other aspects, and you can increase maybe 10 marks, 80 marks or something. So that kind of a discussion we normally do it during our after the examination of the AIME students. Okay, so these are nothing but not in quantitative way, but it is qualitative. Yes, he is having a better understanding. You can't convert. Better understanding means how much number. So that is what it is possible through an rubrics, and that I'm going to give you the idea about how that rubric starts. And then what was the total performance of the students, desired percentage of levels, all these questions you can go on asking, and based on that you can decide what kind of an assessment I have to do it. And then I can have a syllabus mapping, CO mapping, COPO mapping. It's in a simple COPO mapping. These are the COs. Okay, these are the my POs. I can create this matrix, and this matrix is called as an articulation matrix. Okay, that is the thing I can have. And then I can have on last level questions. Means whenever I'm going to frame an examination, or if I'm going to define a certain objective in the students, I'll frame this with a different understanding. Yes, I want to achieve this Bloom's level of this much number. I want to achieve this PO of this, PO2 of PO maybe 1 with 2.5 or something. Like this, I'm going to define. And that is what an expression COPO. What will be the benefits? Benefits will help us to evaluate so many things. We can do it. You can just go through the slides. I'm going to share those slides to you also. So we'll now look at what are these 12 POs. So I can have an engineering knowledge is one of the PO, then problem analysis. These are the such 12 such POs. So, but some of the branches like in a mechanical, civil, or electrical, computer science. So that particular faculty, in that case, you can have something more you want to give it. So if you look into the civil engineering, so it is there. So we are going to teach the students building structural system or something, but there is no not a kind of a thing that buildings that is design of the building structural system. We are not going to impart or evaluate that part into my entire 4 years of course. So I can put that as in one of the PSO. So we are not going to give them in a kind of a design solutions to water supply or sewage system. That is also we are not going to do. An entire 4 years of the period. So these are nothing but in a specialized POs. That's what it is called as a program specific outcomes. Okay, these are called as a program specific outcomes. So that's what it is, PSOs. 12 plus, you can go up to 4, but it is advisable, you should be reliably, you can go up to 3 or 2, that is sufficient. Okay. You need not to miss if you are going for an entire 1 and tier 2. Tier 2 level, if you don't have any PSOs, there is no harm in it. But in tier 1, they expect something more you are going to implement. And that's what you have no your own autonomy in that case. And what is the specifically efforts you are taking as in a, concentrating on your specific branch? That is what it is called as in a program specific outcomes. So we'll now look at, so this is, okay, and COs. So there will be now, how can I convert that outcome into three labels: cognitive and outcomes, behavioral outcome, and affective outcomes. These are the three labels. I'm not going more details about it because this can be learned through. Uh, you can just read and learn it. There is no strain in it because I have to concentrate more on how can I create an Excel sheet and how can I connect this COs and POs and how can I bridge the gap between CO and PO using this competency level and this. So if you look into a typical subject, so these are the COs. So these are the CO 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the four COs. So how I'm going to evaluate these four COs in CT1? So the question will be on a 4 marks of assessment I'm going to do it. For the CO, then CO2 I may be having on a 3 marks, and likewise I will distribute that with a 15 marks of evaluation. Similarly, I may have, I'm now concentrating not on CO1 from the CO2, but that is a CT2, but I'm going to concentrate more on CO2 and CO3 like this. Okay, this is for typical subject. Similarly, I may be going for laboratory courses also. I may be implementing the similar stuff on laboratory courses also. Okay, so now we'll look at how can I connect this. What are these competency level? What are these performance indicators? So POs gives a guidance. It will not help you to convert whatever you are going to do into the teaching learning courses into the number, but it will give a support or guidance what is to be done. That is what on a bigger picture it is going to do it. So when you are going to deliver and you want to assess the students, this POs will not help it. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these POs with COs. So there will be a two-step process. Okay. So first of all, POs to be converted into what kind of skill sets I wanted. Already I told. So what kind of skill sets I want, and then I can say that those skill sets are nothing but competencies. Okay, so what that competency to be attained? Okay, for each POs define certain competencies, different abilities implied by the program outcome statement that would generally require different assessment measures. I want to um, assess this, and then these competencies will be converted in performance indicators. For POs from 1 to 12, already it is defined by an NBA team. You need not to worry about it. When you are going to do this for PSOs or something, you have to work on it and you have to convert that into a performance indicators. Okay, so we can have a first POs. Okay, then so PO number 3, look at it. How I'm going to do that. First step, identify the competencies. And these competencies are converted into performance indicators. So these are the two-step process. PO3, what it takes, design development of the solution, design solution for any complex problems. And this is nothing but that kind of problems needs which consideration for public health, safety, culture, societal, environmental consideration. So this is not giving me what I have to do it. How can I do it? I can convert that into competency. How they are going to do? Are they going to demonstrate the complex solution, define the complex problem, or it is an open-ended problems engineering terms? So this is one skill I have identified it. Okay, and then demonstrate ability to generate a diverse set of alternative design of the solutions, demonstrate ability to select an optimal design scheme. So these are the competencies. Okay, and these competencies are further converted into a performance indicator, apply for formal idea generation. So I can give some questions. Okay, so see, yeah, do you generate this idea? If he has achieved 100%, I can convert that into 100%. If you want to convert into build a model, prototype, algorithms, develop diverse set of solutions, these are the PIs I'm going to do. So this is the way here POs are connected with an PIs through these competency levels. Okay. Now, if I look into the bigger perspective, so here I have an POs. These are the competencies I want to achieve it. These competencies are converted into PIs. I'm going to do an assessment and I'm going to solve it. I may have on a single program outcome, maybe on a multiple competencies for that PO. Okay. And these competencies will be, there will be a PIs, 1, 2, 3, or 3 PIs for first competency, 2 PIs for first, second competency level, like this. And then I can go on creating. This will be only help us to determine a COPO mapping sheet. Okay. So how can I do that? Okay, I can look at that PO number 1 competencies are this, and then I can have an indicators, 1, 2 indicators for first competency. These are the competencies and like this. I can go for such competencies. Already it is given in the NBA document. So you don't need to worry, or you need not to search anywhere. Okay. So we can have such 12 views connected with the competencies and indicators. Okay, I got this 12 views. Now I want to put this whole stuff into a Excel sheet. I'll just open up on one Excel sheet and I can show you how can you convert your own Excel sheet, or you can go through it. Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can just look at. So this is my first Excel sheet of my program. So this is my course instruction. Then year I'm going to implement. Okay. Then I have on a POs here on left side. This column tells me a different POs. PO1, this is my PO2, then PO3, PO4, or something. I can have an altogether 12 such POs along with some PSOs also. So okay, this is what we got it. Now, if you look into the second column, I'm going to put some competencies. What are those competencies for PO1? I have 3 competencies: demonstrate competence in mathematical modeling, competence in basic science, and something. So this typical competency is again given to the performance indicator. How many things are there? I have 2 things. One is one performance indicator here. This is my second indicator here, which will lead to achievement of this skill set. That is a competency level. Okay, then same way I can have these are the things. So this is within a PO part. Now you look at the CO part of it. You have a course objective, and I have how many course objective course outcome I am expecting. I may be expecting 4 course outcomes. This is my CO1, CO2, CO3, and CO4. Okay, so what I have to do it, whether this PO, this competency, and this performance indicator is achieved in CO1. If it is yes, you can say yes. Okay. If it is no, you can provide, you can just delete it. It will delete it. So behind this, so this is yes, no, it will calculate. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is, it is PO1 I'm going to evaluate, and altogether I want to know how much this PO in 1 is connected with a CO1. Similarly, I can have a CO2 is connected with that PO1. Same way I'm going to do it. So like in a multiplication of matrix, we do it. First of all, take in a column, then row, take in a single element, do this, and then go on adding like this. We need to do it. Okay. So ultimately, here, if I put all the y's, you can see here it is going to convert into this number. If you look at this formula, it's in a very simple formula. See, if this is my 14th row, 14th row and gth column. If it is yes, it will give me one number. If it is yes, give me number. If it is no, then it will give me zero number. And how many numbers are there? Altogether, PIs are 5. So that's what I will divide it within a 5. And then I will round it because I can't have this COPO mapping in decimal numbers. Okay. So if I have, I will just remove this all. I can just look at it. I can have, if I don't map this PO on any of the CO1, then I can have 0 here. You can just look at it. It is bringing me 0 number. So if I put this two numbers, this is one Y and this is my second Y, it only achieve 1 because out of 5 you have achieved only 2. You are going to connect this 2 only, and that's what it is going to give me, 1 number. Similarly for CO2, similarly for CO3, similarly for CO4, like this. This is for only one POs. Similar fashion, I can have this PO competency level and PIs for PO2 and PO3. Like this, I can go on putting this because already I mentioned in your the slides. You can just go through these slides. You can put this into an Excel sheet and you can convert. There is no big deal. And if you want, I can share this Excel sheet to you people so that you can reuse this Excel sheet. So here you can just look at PO number 12. Here CO is 1 is not achieved, CO2 is not achieved, CO3 is not achieved. So that is the way I'm going to convert that performance indicator into how much amount of performance indicators are reflecting into my course, which is given by this matrix. Means how much PO is reflecting in individual courses and kind of things. And this is nothing but an SEO mapping. So in this COPO mapping, here only we have decided if that particular student has that particular skill. Here it is an ideal Excel, ideal matrix created for that particular course. This is nothing but an objective of your entire course. In course one, this particular mechatronics course, I want to achieve PO1, 2, not 3, but 2. I want to achieve PO2 2.5, PO3 1.5, like this. This is what I decided it based on this skill sets and kind of things. So then I want to now actually evaluate that. What way I can do evaluate? I can come up my question sets. Okay, I'll now, this is what in a matrix we'll go into questions. How can I define those questions, and we'll look at it. Okay. Okay, this is the way we can have 12 swatch POs. Okay, then we can have some rubrics. So we are going to define your question paper. This is typical question. It is already there in this exam reform policies. So it is in a programming for problem solving, and this is my course in first semester or something. So I may have I'm going to ask the first questions like, explain the steps involved into this. What is the Bloom's level? So it is in a Bloom's level is 2. CO1 is achieved and 8 mark I'm going to give it. And what is the performance indicator? That is 1.4.1. Okay. So in most of the questions, you need not to put this. You can remove this BL and PI from this, and you can plan your question paper. Similarly, I can have a such question paper for 100 marks. And out of that, I can decide how many Bloom's levels I am concentrating. Maybe 1, 2, 3 or something. Don't worry about this. So this is the way the COs you are going to define how if the students is going to achieve an 8 mark in the first question, that indicates it is going to achieve on a CO1 completely. This CO1 indicates that level 2, that indicates PI1, PIR. And individual cases question may have a multiple PIs, multiple PIs even, because it involves multiple skill sets. See, one thing I can tell you one question like, I want to design a mechanical system. Okay, this is my first thing. So I want to know the they should know the numerical capabilities. That I will tell them, yes, I want to determine the stress or something for this particular domain, and whether it is less than this, that may involve 2 3 such skill sets. So that is what an PI indicators. Okay, so I can have this type of model question papers for this, and I can now come back to your, this is my target matrix and this is my achievement. I'll now come back to my class. I'll have an exams, maybe CT1, CT2, TA, and assessment. So in CO1, I'm having a 4 marks of question in the CT1. CO2, 3 marks. Like that, I can now map it. Okay. And then I'm going to have, these are the roll numbers, serial number and roll number and the name of the students. Out of that particular question, how much he has scored it? Out of 15, 15, 10, and 45. Okay. So if you are going to have an online evaluation, this COPO mapping will be very easy. But most of the time we do an average of this and then we put that. Okay. So this is nothing but marks he has achieved it. Okay, once he has achieved 45 marks, okay, then I want to know how much CO has he has achieved it, CO1. Okay, out of 45 means altogether this is the endsem exam, this is a TA marks, then CT1, CT2. Okay, so I can now over the entire semester, okay, out of on a one scale, how much CO is he has achieved it. Okay, I can have on a CO means I can have this addition subtraction, I can do it. Okay, C1 here it is in a, you can just go through this formula, it's not in a big deal. You take in all the addition, subtract, and convert into this particular number. Once I done this, I want to convert with the scale of 0 to 3. Okay, on the scale of 1, it's a simple. If my, I will now decide what is my threshold, whether I want to, how much marks indicates what is my 1 level, 2 level, or 3 level. If I say my 1 level indicates, if I say it is in a zero point 0.4 or less, I will say it is in a 0th level. If it is up to 2, that is a zero point 0.5 or something, I will say it is in a 2. And if it is more than 59 or something, maybe 60 or something, I'll say it is in a 3. So that is what the way I can now convert that decimal numbers in the mapping of the 3. Okay, this is what the mapping I done it. Now I got how much COs you have achieved it, CO1, 2, 3, 4. And then average of all this means individual students have achieved, some students may have achieved 3, some students have achieved 2, 1, or something. Once I got this, so these are the achievement of COs. First CO 2.46, second 2.23, 4, 5, 3. Ultimately, these all should, ideally it should be 3. But out of 3, the as per students' performance, I'm getting only 2.46 or something. Now we have this matrix. I want to map this CO achievements into this PO achievements. I want to connect this with this matrix. How can I do it? I can go into the PO calculations. Okay. So how can I do that? This is what in a Excel, this is what in a mapping sheet I got it. I can determine average of this, and then I'm going to ultimately determine how much amount of achievement I had done. This is nothing but an average of this. And this is the CO attainment. This first CO attainment I done, second, third, fourth, and something. So I can now have this total I got it here round, means this is what I'm a 4. Okay. D8, D9, this is my D8, 9, 10, and then I will divide by 4, okay, and then round, and 1.45 something, 1.75. Then I can convert that 1.75 on the scale of something total I will get. Okay, this I can do it, and I can determine these numbers. So this is the way we can go on doing all these calculations, convert into the numbers and kind of things. Okay, so this is what in a way it does. Okay, I have some problem with this Excel sheet. I will just open up some other Excel sheet that will be better. It will take a CO attainment. This is what in a blank sheet we created. This is entirely a blank sheet. You can create you can substitute your own subject. These are the CO achievements for subjects. I not put any marks for this. Then POs, and this POs, this marks. Okay, this is what I'm going to do this formula, this C8 and all these calculations, and ultimately it is going to tell me how much amount of PO we have achieved. Okay, so this is the way you can do this COPO mapping and play with this COPO mapping. Ultimate aim is to, whenever I'm going to teach anything into my class, it is expected that that student should grab 100%, but it is not possible. But how much they have grabbed it, and that evaluation, how much he has achieved, whichever I taught into the class, and that is possible through the COPO mapping. That is the only one objective having for this type of COPO mapping. There is no any other objectives. We'll now look at what is the way I can have. We have seen that marks to be converted into your COPO mapping, PO achievement, or something. But we never discussed about how can I achieve, how can I assess higher order abilities. But it is encouraged to provide an open book exam. Why we encourage more for an open book exam? The reason for this open book exam, the students will not be in a more stressed whenever they are going to do the exam, but they have an open-ended problem, an open problem. Open problems means they can access any books or any kind of resources to solve certain problems. This is one. Because after 4 years of graduation, they have to go into the practical life. They have to. They nobody will say, "Ki, okay, you don't use the book, but solve this problem." You can go into any time of any time into the book. They have to solve a practical problem. That will help them to know more about how can I handle these practical problems, and that's the reason we should have an open book examination. Okay, how we can design that is also, you can just go through. So whenever you are going to evaluate the students based on written and oral kind of a communication. Oral communication means if I'm going to have a mechatronics exam out here, that is a oral exam. How can I evaluate? Means I can have a written communication, how much amount of proficient he is, whether it is acceptable or kind of an improvement. Okay, so this is the way I can give. This is my 1 level, this is my 2 level, and this is my 3 level, and then this I can convert acceptable this number qualitative things into quantitative numbers. Okay, whether he has used this presentations in that error-free presentation, we can have errors. This is what the way I can have 1, 2, 3 kind of a level. Oral presentation also, whether speakers are audible, fluent on the topic. So this is called as an rubrics, which will convert what are the oral exam into certain numbers, because most of the time what it happens, we find it difficult to evaluate the students whenever they are giving an oral exam. That time you can use such rubric sheet for evaluation purpose. And also there is this design project rubrics tools. Okay, so what is the basically purpose means we can have 3 levels. This is 1, this is 3, I can hear, this is 2, and this is now 1. Okay, it is reverse in previous case. So this is needs an improvement means he's not self-sufficient to prepare, understood sufficiently understood the purpose of project. So these are the categories, and you can give them marks for this. Okay, and based on that, you can create a sheet, and you can keep that. You are going to evaluate this way, and that is the thing we can have. Okay, and later, if you want to have a review of it, huh? Review you want to mini project you have told the students, and you want to evaluation, that mini project evaluation should reflect into your COP or outcome. It should be reflected. In that case, here it is, you can say group assessment or individual assessment. There will be two things. Many projects will be handled by maybe a 4 to 5 students. So this is a group assessment. And individual assessments means individual interaction you need to do. Here it is in a GA indicates group assessment. Uh, then marks, then you can grade it. If they are poor, you can give a 20%, 40%, 60%. You can convert that into numbers. Means I can have a 2 here, then maybe a 4 here, then 6 here, 8 here, and here 10. And then I'm going to evaluate based on it. Means out of this 10, how much they have each. I can take it. Yeah, he is in the range of 40. He is in the range of 60 here. Like this. I can go on creating these sheets, put individuals assessment or group assessment, and convert that into the number. Similarly, you can have a review number 1, review number 2. You can have a higher order skills. You can get it through this review number 3 or something. Okay. So this is what we have seen. How can I? There will be two tools through which we can do it. One is which we have seen it called as a direct tools or direct assessment. And another one is indirect assessment. In direct assessment, what we are going to conduct the test, we are going to conduct the assignments, lab, seminar, project, rubric, so many things we are going to do. But when it comes, we may be giving a kind of projects to the students like a Bahabaja project is there. Robotics club is there. The students are organizing TEDx type of lectures. They are maybe working on the projects like an Avishkar, maybe some agricultural projects. So this somewhere maybe some of the students are involved in the faculty development, maybe an alumni survey program. That is what things, and you can have this type of a survey you can go for. That is in a course end survey, then exit survey, faculty survey, alumni survey, program statistics. So these are the ways through which we can have an indirect assessment. In direct assessment, 80% is considered, and here it is only 20% is considered. Because this is nothing but a base which we want to establish into the students. And this is what an additional stuff you want to give it. And that's what 20% is to be considered. Okay. So we have just gone through the COPO mapping already. We have seen it. So once I done it COPO mapping for an individual subject, I can now have this mapping for a bigger, that is a program articulation matrix. Okay, means this is what typically civil structure. So civil courses, then COs, then POs connected, and all those things. Okay, so I can have example weightage for POs. So you can do it. So this is what I would like to tell you for today's session. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Or you can put into your chat box.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful talk. You have cleared all our doubts, and I think we don't need any further session after this, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
But
Really,
still, but still,
very simplistic.
I request participants to ask any query if you have. Please,
Sir,
participant side.
Yes.
I would like to know because the talk is very wonderful, and thanks to such talk that we are able to get this type of talk. So my one question is that, sir, in AICT examination reform, they
Mhm.
have mentioned that minimum 6 COs are there. So should we will go for the having the 4 CEOs or more than means minimum we have to compulsory to kept the 6 CEOs.
See, if you increase your own numbers, that will create a more complex issues. So my request is that you make sure that you are going to convert what are the information into the numbers within a minimum number of parameters. If you increase more COs, it will make more complex, or it will create more problems for evaluation. वो एक्सेल शीट बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा, फिर तकलीफ होगी,
Yes,
फिर किसका किससे कनेक्शन है वो पता नहीं पड़ेगा. तो मेरा क्या कहना
actually
है कि
sir.
आप मिनिमम 4
Yes.
रखो. जब एआईसीटी कंपलसरी करेगी नहीं भाई आपको 6 ही करना है, 4 में चलेगा नहीं, तब आप डिसाइड कर सकते हैं यार ठीक है हम अभी 6
Actually, sir, we have faced this problem during our NBA accreditation for the Electronics and Communication Department accreditation. So they have the experts told us that you should keep the minimum 6 CEOs, and so map the all those things. So that's why this question arises: should we go for the 4 or more than 4? So we will take care your advice, sir. Sure, sir.
हाँ एक्चुअली क्या
Thank you.
रहता है कि CO1, CO2, CO3 और CO4 एक्चुअली क्या होता है कि हम लोग जो सिलेबस रहता है इट इज टिपिकली 6 यूनिट सिलेबस रहता है, बराबर है. एंड मे बी
we have 4 unit.
हाँ 6 यूनिट का सिलेबस रहता है और उसके हिसाब से हम लोग एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि 1 यूनिट का 1 CO रहेगा और हम लोग उसके हिसाब से.
Sir, we have 4 units only. So for us, 4 COs are very convenient, sir, to map.
Yeah, it is more than sufficient यार. ये हर बार क्या होता है कि हर बार ऊपर वाले कुछ तो ये बदल देते हैं और सब हम लोगों को नया करना पड़ता है.
जी जी सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू.
सर एक क्वेश्चन मेरा था कि सपोज वी हैव 4 CEOs, that means we have 4 units and we have 4 CEOs. And we frame questions on the basis of that 4 CEOs only. And if our question paper has some optional questions, means student has to opt only 2 questions out of 3. So one of the CEO he will eliminate, sir. He will not able to opt that.
होगा ही होगा. तो
सपोज CO3 किसी ने ऑप्ट ही नहीं किया, किसी स्टूडेंट ने, तो वो तो 0 हो जाएगा सर. Okay. So how to tackle this situation, sir?
So we have 4 COs. Out of that, 1 is not handled by any of the students. That's what you will get CO3 entirely 0. तो आपको याद रहेगा हमारे एनबीए के इसमें एक यूनिट है दैट मे बी 7th यूनिट, 7th चैप्टर, जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, 7th क्या है क्राइटेरिया याद नहीं आ रहा. क्राइटेरिया वो फीडबैक वगैरह लेते हैं, फिर कॉग्निजेंस लेते हैं. ओके, वो ऐसा वाला. तो उसमें हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि समझो अभी 3rd नंबर का बच्चों ने अटेंड ही नहीं किया, चलो तो उसमें क्या करने का है कि वी हैव टू प्रोवाइड एन मेकअप एग्जाम और काइंड ऑफ मोर असाइनमेंट ऑन टू दिस वन, एंड वी कैन से कि यस CO3 बच्चों ने भले ऑप्शनल का क्वेश्चन था उसमें उन्होंने अचीव नहीं किया, फिर भी हमने उनको असाइनमेंट इसके ऊपर दिया और उसके साथ एक रूब्रिक्स डाल दो और काम खत्म कर दो. दैट इज व्हाट एन बेस्ट ऑप्शन.
Okay, sir.
And other things, sir, because this examination reform, so we can remove that deficiency. Even we can have internal choice instead of question choice, so that will be better, I think.
आपने क्या बोला मुझे ठीक तरह से समझा नहीं सर.
Actually sir, if we do compulsory all the questions for all students, I think that is fine, sir. We don't do such optional.
नहीं, ऑप्शनल हम लोग क्यों देते हैं कि बच्चों को उतना हर एक बच्चे का लाइकिंग नहीं हो सकता. देखो अभी क्या रहता है कि मेरा लाइकिंग अभी थियोरेटिकल क्वेश्चंस पूछेंगे तो बहुत इरिटेट हो जाऊंगा. मुझे कोई न्यूमेरिकल देगा तो आई विल बी मोर हैप्पी.
Okay.
So I will prefer to not to go for a theoretical question. But हाँ, नहीं तो कुछ बच्चे रहते हैं यार कोई न्यूमेरिकल नहीं चाहिए, मेरे को बस थ्योरी चाहिए, बाकी कुछ नहीं चाहिए. कुछ तो रट्टा लेके कुछ डालूंगा.
For that, my suggestion is internal choice question. Every question should have internal choice. If we want give, that will be better.
Yeah, भले आप जितना ज्यादा ऑप्शंस देंगे, समझो उसमें से कुछ कोप अप नहीं हो रहा है, तो इट इज नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड कि आप लोग हर बार जो असेसमेंट में ही रिफ्लेक्ट होना चाहिए आपको सीओ। यू कैन हैव सम एडिशनल स्टफ लाइक चलो यार असाइनमेंट दिया था बच्चों को, मैंने मिनी प्रोजेक्ट में ये काम लगाया था, उसमें से ये इवैल्यूएट हो रहा है, ये इवैल्यूएट हो रहा है, दैट इज व्हाट द इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड। ऐसा कुछ करके हम लोग निपटा सकते हैं और कुछ नहीं।
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes,
And
thank
sir, from participant side, there is a request that if you can share your PPT and as well as that Excel sheet, if it
यस
is
यस
possible.
यस यस मैं आपको जस्ट एक काम करता हूँ, आप जस्ट मुझे एक मेल कर दो तो मैं ये पूरा आपको शेयर करूंगा। तो
Sure, sir, sure,
दिस इज ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल, ये वाला अवेलेबल है बस हर एक जगह पे, मगर बस मैंने एक ही चेंज किया है कि आई कन्वर्टेड मींस उसको कंपाइल करके एक जगह पे रखा है।
Okay, sure, sir.
मैंने कुछ नया पढ़ाया नहीं है, ऑलरेडी इट इज देयर एवरीवेयर, बट आई ओनली थिंग आई डन इट, आई कनेक्टेड एवरीथिंग इट इन अ सिंगल यूनिट। ठीक है। और एनीवे ये मेरा लेक्चर मेरा यूट्यूब पे चैनल पे ही मैं अपलोड करूंगा, जो अभी हम लोगों का जो भी डिस्कशन हुआ
It's already shared on YouTube link, sir.
बट
From our
इसमें
side.
ये 1.5 घंटे में मैंने आई नॉट कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड ऑन पीआई और competencies in previous lecture, so this I am going to put into this.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
और किसी को और कुछ लगेगा तो दे कैन पुट अ कमेंट ऑन दैट, क्या बोलते हैं उसको,
Thank you very much, sir.
माय व्हाट्सएप इवन दिस। ओके, चलो फिर।
Okay, thank you very much,
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
If you need any kind of an help or related to this, even actually मुझे शेखर सर मुझे ये एक बात बताना है कि आई एम नॉट एनीवेयर इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस ओबी और काइंड ऑफ बहुत इरिटेट करने वाली चीज है, मगर सिचुएशन ऐसे हुआ कि मेरे कॉलेज में मुझे एनबीए का कोऑर्डिनेटर बनाया गया, तो इसलिए मुझे इसके अंदर घुसना पड़ा। I am more interested to interact with your faculty in technical aspect, not with the non-technical staffs. I'll be interested to have an interaction on kind of projects like robotics का project रहेगा, नहीं तो mechatronics का project रहेगा, IoT का project रहेगा, नहीं तो collaborative कुछ project हम लोग DST इसरो को जमा कर सकते हैं, कुछ बड़ा वाला सोचेंगे। ये ठीक है यार, सीओ मैपिंग एनबीए तो होता है।
I will share the contact details to all the participants if someone is ready.
Yes, whoever is interested to implement, because I may be going for 2-3 DST projects in this sense, means वो मैंने तो जमा तो किया है, तो
surely I will approach you, sir. I will contact you, sir.
इसमें क्या हो रहा है कि ये सीओपीओ मैपिंग के इसमें we spend much of time and जो काम
एक्चुअल जो काम करना चाहिए वो नहीं हो पाएगा।
हाँ, उसके ऊपर हम लोग ज्यादा कंसंट्रेट नहीं कर सकते, ये सबसे बड़ा प्रेम हो रहा है। एनीवे we'll do it.
चलो सर, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So participants, we are taking a small break of 15 minutes, and at 12 p.m. we have another lecture of Dr. US Sahu sir. So he'll also taking on I think this program outcome only. So we'll meet at 12 p.m. sharp 12 p.m. Thank you very much, all of you.
Yeah, thank you.